SIG's X-Compact grips are now shipping. This is product code grip mod X C943M, and this is black. So this is a medium for 9mm, etc. And got to take a look. Right now, I can tell you that it has some minor enhancements, but some ones that are really thoughtful and that are really improvement, especially for carry over the X grips that we all know and love. So first thing that's most obvious, again, is you look at the beaver tails on these guns. The older X grip has a much more pronounced beaver tail, little pointy down here on the end. I will tell you that if you're carrying this appendix, I don't like it as much because if I'm in the wrong angle, this can poke me, like jab me a little bit. So I do actually like the more rounded beaver tail profile on some of my competition guns. I've rounded this off. The other thing I've done on some of my competition guns is when I first started using the X grips, I looked at this ledge back here is thoughtful, but not necessary for it to extend this far back. So what this does is this makes it less likely for you to accidentally hit either the slide catch or the manual safety where that's present. But the disadvantage of this having this little ledge that continues back here is it makes the beaver tail feel a little bit more wider than it needs to be. So after taking a lot of user feedback, SIG thoughtfully reprofiled that back portion. Does make it more comfortable, feel quite a bit more slim, especially with that beaver tail. They've also done a little bit on the back as far as there's a little bit thinner here, so I think the actual trigger reach is going to be a little bit less or a little bit closer trigger reach from the back here. Just by looking at the back, there's not as much room, like room for the grip weight, for example. And then, of course, they did a nice little commander bob down here to make it so that it's going to print a little bit less and be a little more comfortable and not poke you on with the back. Obviously, you see that profile is pretty dramatically different. On the back there, it still does have a lanyard loop, and that lanyard loop, since it goes all the way through, it is a potential attachment point for the future in the event that somebody wants to make like an aftermarket magwell for this thing. That would work pretty well there. Going from the inside, where in the X grips you have this nice big channel to fit that grip weight that's in there. This doesn't have the channel per se. It's a little thinner, so you do have these three channels that are actually probably something you could work with if you really want to add weight. I have a tungsten rod. This is actually really close to being able to fitting in one of those smaller holes. This is just a tungsten rod I happen to have lying around. So I think with the right tungsten rods, a really minor bit of work. You probably add an ounce and a half or so of tungsten in the back of this grip. If you're one that really likes the way that the X5 grip balances with that grip weight in there, you could definitely do something like that without a problem. So other thing to point out, when you look at the magwell itself, it's still actually very generous. It really just it mirrors what the X5 has, except for at the front. It's actually profiled a little bit. They removed a lot of, or trimmed a lot of fat out of the front of that grip. And it's a little more round on the front versus the square of the back. Overall, still extremely usable, very good, and nothing you don't need left on there. Looks like they've maybe thinned this out a little bit more across the front too, but I'd have to take some calipers out to see. But overall, really nice compact package. Still gives you 15 rounds. This goes with the typically with the subcompact slide is the length that this rail is for, but it will work with the compact slide. Now, in case you want to know, will it work with full size slide? Yeah, it will, but there'll be a little bit of a gap. So let's see if we can show you what that looks like. So here is a full-length slide. If we can get this on here. And I just launched my full-length slide. All right, you will notice on the full-length slide that you have this gap right up front here, where you can see the recoil assembly. This gun should function just fine with that gap being there, unless you get something stuck in it or pinched in it or whatever, and then it's not quite so cool. So it'll probably work just fine for most of what you want to do. The X5 has this gap in about the same place, so would sort of work for those slides. Not necessarily recommended. So for the time being, we'll recommend it for compact or subcompact slide lengths, and more if you really have to, you could run a full size slide. So this is one of my compacts here, and again, since this is cut for the subcompact, it sticks out a little bit, sort of like the M17s do and the VTACs do. So not a bad look overall. It's actually pretty cool, and feels like a nice little package for 15 plus 1 in a carry holster. This is one of my Red Hill Tactical holsters, just a very, very basic carry appendix holster that I have from Red Hill. And obviously from going from the X grip to this X compact grip, no problems there. Still locks in really, really well. Fits just exactly the same, but it's going to carry a little bit better without as much grip back here, with that nice, the back here being bobbed the way it is. So pretty cool. Now when it comes to the magazines, I have the older style compact, so my magazines all don't work. So a couple things you can do about that. So just to prove it to you there, again, it's stopping because I don't have the wing cuts that were on the original compacts. So we're going to fix that right now. You can profile the sides of the wings down. So if you take these wings and get your Dremel or get whatever you like, you can profile this down and put those at an angle. And then you can leave the wings just where they're at, and they will work just fine. The alternative to that is just to cut these wings directly off. We'll see how sharp my box cutter is, if I'm gonna hurt myself or do something else. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I might get bored with this and do the Dremel in a second here. But okay, I've done it before. There we go. So this will work. I can keep going. Let me see if Mr. Dremel can make it go a little faster. But all you'd really need to do that is a pocket knife, frankly, and a little bit of patience. So since I have neither with me, and after that short intermission, we are back. Let's clean some of this off. Again, that was a real quick job, obviously. I can get this looking a lot prettier. I would probably hit it with a flat file first, and then I would move to sandpaper. And you can actually clean it up and make it really look like this didn't come this way, like this came this way from the factory. Would not take much time with, I'll probably start with like a 200 grit and then move to 400, 600, and 800. That'd probably be really plenty. So we'll see here if that does the trick. mag on there. All right, and where's my gun? Okay, and we have a functioning magazine for our makeshift X-Compact here. Got a dummy round, no primer. We'll just make sure it loads. Yeah, loads, locks back. Good to go. All right, so there it is. Really nice addition by SIG to put this out. I like it. Even though I do prefer the bigger grips, I'll probably carry this one a lot. And yeah, put it to some good use.